Well, the Great Tower itself, the main keep of the castle, was constructed between 1180 and about 1188, 89. For Henry II. We don't know very much about the architect, but it was someone who was called Morris the Engineer. It only took about 6 or 7 years to construct at that time, and cost around about £7,000, which was astronomical at the end of the 12th century. That was in fact the entire revenues of Norfolk, Suffolk and Kent for that period of time. The oldest part of the castle shows the 2,000 years of history that the castle shows today. It's the remains of an Iron Age hill settlement that was here long before the castle was here and long before there was much down in the valley in the way of Dover. There have been several archaeological excavations in that area, and the remains of those people have been found there. That's also the site of the Roman Pharos, a Roman building reputed to be the tallest Roman building in the United Kingdom, and a lighthouse, one of a chain of lighthouses that was here in Kent and in Nord-Pas-de-Calais in Boulogne. Because of its place in history and also its physical location, Dover Castle has seen many royal visitors since its construction in the 12th century. Obviously Henry II and Eleanor of Aquitaine spent some time here. Much later, Charles I came down to Dover to meet his wife Henrietta Maria. And it's reported that although there had been lots of work done on the castle to make it luxurious and attractive to the new queen, she didn't think much of it at that time. In the Second World War, one of the most important people who stayed here at the castle was Vice Admiral Sir Bertram Ramsey. He's the man who masterminded the evacuation of the Allied troops from Dunkirk in May and June of 1940. He spent some time here, and he was also host to Churchill, who also spent time at Dover Castle during that period. There are several tunnel systems at Dover Castle. After the siege of 1216, a selection of medieval tunnels were formed in the 1220s to form sally ports in order to defend the northern part of the castle. Quite different from the wartime tunnels, which are further down the slope. The wartime tunnels were, to begin with, constructed from around about 1797 during the French Wars. And that was the time, of course, when, with England being at war with France, Dover was full of soldiers. A huge number of soldiers were garrisoned here in the town, and eventually the whole castle was full to capacity, and so casemate tunnels, which are heavily fortified tunnels, were constructed underneath the cliffs to provide accommodation for a lot of soldiers. The records seem to prove there were about 2,000 soldiers living there during that period of time. The tunnels were so well constructed and so strong that they were used for many different purposes over the years, but in the late 1930s they came into their own once more when they were colonised by Vice Admiral Sir Bertram Ramsey and his team, just as the Second World War was starting to break out. And it was from there that the Dunkirk evacuation was planned. English Heritage holds many events in the very suitable accommodation that we have here at Dover Castle. We have many open weekends where usually there is a thematic approach, sometimes a medieval one, sometimes a Second World War one. And so there would be a whole variety of activities for children during those events. We also, during the year, hold a number of author visits and special events such as ghost tours and even sleepovers within the Great Tower of the castle.